Welcome to the InStory show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and today I am thrilled to welcome Sonia Bueno de la Torre. Welcome, Sonia.
Hi, so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So before we dive in, Sonia is a love and energy coach, and we're going to be taking that journey into self-love, and you're going to get a gift about it, and also kind of a journey into trusting your intuition and the flow, because you're going to see that's how we go here, how we roll. So as I make everyone do, I want you to start us off with a little bit of your story, of kind of how did you come into being able to express your full shiny self.
I'm happy to. And just to clarify, I'm not a love coach, so not relationship, bringing people together. I'm a self-love coach, so I just want to make sure. I don't think I'm going to help them to find their soulmate or something. And, Deborah, I believe that self-love is the foundation to inner peace and happiness. And I also believe that in order to love yourself, you got to know who you really are and have access to a higher sense of self. And I know that because I did not used to love myself at all. So when it comes to my story, when I was growing up, I already felt at a very young age that I felt that something was wrong with me, that I was different. I always had a nagging feeling of not being good enough. I constantly was judging myself. I was comparing myself. I felt very uncomfortable in my body. And I remember even when I was 14 years old, I was already on my first diet because I thought I was fat and ugly. Looking back, I wasn't fat and ugly. I was actually pretty, but I didn't know that back then, right? So my journey began there, and it got really bad to the point that I felt highly depressed. I suffered from a lot of shame. And yet inside of me, and I don't know if you know that feeling, but it's like, even though I felt so bad about myself, I had that kind of sense of there has to be more. This cannot be it. And through my journey, and I was in such emotional pain at times that I was thinking about even leaving this behind and really taking my life away. This is where I'm coming from. And I remember the day that was a pivot, like it was a crucial moment for me. I was 26 years old and I was on vacation in Thailand on a beautiful beach with my boyfriend at the time. So you got to picture this, like I had a boyfriend that loved me, I had a good job, like I had a fancy car, I had, like all of that stuff. And then I was on this vacation and I was sitting there in my bathing suit on the beach, palm trees, blue water, my boyfriend somewhere there, and I was thinking there, and I was thinking to myself, this should be the most romantic day of my life. And the only thing I was feeling and thinking was how bad I was feeling about myself and inside myself. And in that moment, Deborah, I was sitting there on the beach. In that moment, in that painful moment, I decided to do whatever it takes to love myself. Because I knew, and I had no idea, I mean, here's the truth, and I want to really emphasize that because often people think, oh, if you don't believe, I did not believe I could ever love myself. I had no concept about that. I didn't know how, but I knew either I learn how to love myself or I die. Like, that's where I come from. And then I embarked on that journey, through healing, transformation, and really peeling off the layers of what I thought that I was, and removing that and really stepping into my authentic self, into self-love, into understanding who I was, and to start really being out there as who I am versus completely hiding and being in shame and self-judgment. And happy to share obviously more about what I did, but that's really in a nutshell where I come from. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping women and men to really tap into that self-love, that piece of who am I, and to really being able to express that in the world, because I believe that's how we make a difference.
I'm so with you. But okay, so I have a couple of questions, and and you might not know the answer to these questions, but I wonder, what is it that made somebody like you, who's clearly beautiful, extraordinary, and good life, so not love yourself? Like, what is that? Like, what have you discovered in your work that is the cause of that? Then we'll go into how do you fix it. But I think it's important to talk about what's happening.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm happy to share some of the things. There's so much I discovered over the last 20 years. I'm not going to be able to share.
Oh, fine. We won't go for 6 hours.
Years. But, few things, you know, the why. You know, like, and everybody's unique in their own experience. But it's like, it doesn't happen necessarily intentionally. But usually what often happens, and in my case as well, is that my mother didn't love herself to begin with either. So not that she was aware of it, she didn't do the work or anything, but so she was caught up in generational, you know, shame and patterns and fears and beliefs that are not hers. So how does it happen that we feel about us this way? Is because when we come into this world, we are like a vessel, open. I'm an energy person. Everything for me is energy. That's where my expertise is, right? So from an energetical perspective, we come into this world and we are naked. We absorb everything, we are open, and we have no sense of self yet in separation. That means everything we absorb is, we take that upon us. Very narcissistic, but not in a, you know, like judgmental way. It's just how we are when we are very little. So any thoughts, any emotions, any you know, generational stuff or things from our parents or, you know, from anyone, sure, it really doesn't matter. We absorb them, and in some way we have a sense that's who we are. And therefore what happens is we lose touch of who we are in that moment. Mm-hmm. And when we are disconnected to who we are, we never experience joy or bliss or wholeness because we are disconnected from who we are. Mm-hmm. And then the protection mechanisms jumps in. For example, inner criticism, I call it the inner critic, is a protection mechanism from our psyche that starts very early on to protect us, actually. It doesn't serve us anymore. And then it just gets out of control, and it runs us on autopilot. So it's a very unconscious mechanism. And it's stored on an energetical and emotional level that even later when you understand, you know, let's say I'm 14, 16, 20, 25, it doesn't matter how old, I understand somehow that judging myself is not good, or that I am actually unique in some way compared to this person. So comparing doesn't happen, but it's so ingrained in us that we just can't help to feel that way until we peel off the layer. So that's just a few pointers. But ultimately, it's really that if we don't have someone in our life that is aware of themselves and in trust with themselves and in love with themselves, that can hold the space for us to be in that creation, it's very difficult to grow up this way. And our parents didn't grow up this way either. You know, like most of us. And it's not that they had any bad intention, and I don't blame them. It's just an explanation. Does it make sense?
Yes, and it's important to start bringing it to the, you know, part of what we're all doing is bringing it forward so that we then can do things to shift these patterns, right? So we shift it for ourselves. And then what you're saying that's so interesting is that if a young person does this work on herself, for example, and she becomes a mother, she can hold a higher level energetic space.
Absolutely. I believe that I believe that the biggest contribution to a better planet is to work on yourself, period. That's like, I stand for that 100%. Take responsibility, work on yourself. As parents or moms, or it's like, the best gift you can give to your child is that you work on your stuff. Because if you want it or not, if you don't resolve that within yourself, you can tell your daughter a million times how beautiful and worthy she is. If you don't embody it within yourself, she's not gonna learn it from you. It's just what it is. You know, my mom didn't tell me I'm fat and ugly. She didn't say that to me, right? However, the way that she felt within herself, and not only her, obviously, but also just that not being content and connected with your true self and being able to express yourself in a confident, loving, expressive way. No matter what she said, you learn through modeling, through energy, through emotion before you start speaking. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah, that's a super crucial point.
Right. And but what I like to say, because you know, being my age now, I'm already in my 60s, and so I often say, but it's never too late for us to get back that shiny part of ourselves, to love ourselves. And so maybe you can talk about some of the things that you did and that others can do, because I really believe what you're saying is true. If you can tap into that authentic, I like to call it your soul story, yourself, whatever, that authentic place, then you feel that wholeness, and then you have the confidence to express yourself, right? Like, because you're not faking it.
And you know, age has nothing to do with anything. You know, like I started my journey when I was young. I mean, I'm 48 years old now. Every year I feel better just because of the work that I do. And I have clients of mine who come to me who are actually already in their 60s. You know, there's nothing more worth it to live the rest of your life with the best, you know, the best way you can. And so and again, there's a lot of things, but I'm going to share a few pieces that I believe make the biggest difference, or made the biggest difference for me. Like, out of all the things that I've done, one of the biggest things the biggest difference for me was when I learned about energy, that I'm more than my body, I'm more than my emotions, I'm more than my mental. I believe that there's a higher self. I don't, you know, I'm not much about labeling. You can call it God, you can call it spirit, you can call it divine. I call it the soul. Is that you want to go first in. Like, I've created a 4-step process to self-love. And the first step is really you go in first and see what's happening inside. Fears, beliefs, shame, like what are the wounds from the past and generations. So you go in first to see, hey, what's going on inside of me? Because you cannot really control the outside as much as you want to really go in and heal what's in there. And then the other step is really to go up, to reach up, to raise your energy, and to connect to your higher self, to connect to a higher access of your being, a higher vibration, a higher sense of self, something that is beyond the just physical form that we are. That made for me the biggest difference. Mm-hmm. And then in order to be really seen in the world and to really express yourself fully, you want to bring that down. You want to bring that down into your system. And then the fourth and last way of the process, really to bring it out. So first you go in and you explore all that stuff, you know, the pain, the shame, the beliefs, the limitations, the fears. Clear the house, you reach up, and then that higher frequency of the essence of who you are, you bring that down. And of course that does not happen overnight, right? It's a process, it's deep inner work. And one of the things that I think are the most powerful tools in my experience of working with my clients is energy-based meditation, because it incorporates that. You know, that's something that you can do on your own. A lot of the things, I mean, I don't know about you, Devorah, everybody's different, but in my experience, and I have been working obviously for a long time on this myself and with a lot of people over the last 20 years, there's certain pieces that we can't reach ourselves. It's like we need someone to really guide us through, help us through, because it would be so easy, we would have done it already, right?
No, we need each other. We're really not meant to do this alone. And what I find a lot of times is I call people get in what I call a spin cycle. It's a lot of efforting and not a lot of progress. And there is something about letting someone be there for you. That is it's a big part of the work. And so, because that whole unworthiness thing that we have is so debilitating, and it makes me just so happy when I hear what you're doing, because I know we're being called forward to heal this so that we can bring our joy, our wisdom, our light, all of that out in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, we are here for each other. And it's true, because I would be nowhere. And I would not, when I sometimes look back where I come from, deep self-hatred, like shame, hiding, depression, addiction. And I look to my life now, like, I just have this, it's like, I love myself, but not I have to show yourself. It's like, I know who I am. I trust myself. I'm connected. And it does not mean I don't struggle anymore and that I don't have pain. Of course, we have to go through life, At the same time, how you deal with things and how you express yourself and the capacity to really make a difference for other people is only because other people stood for me when I didn't believe in myself, and other people were holding the light for me when I had no light in me. So I'm giving this back. So anyone who's listening to this today and you feel like I have something to give and I want to make a difference in the world, but something is holding me back, you're absolutely in the right place, because this is a collective thing. And I think you have to do the deeper work in order for you to make that impact.
100%. And that's why we're all starting to share all of this wisdom, and we have this incredible access to each other now too, because of the internet. So it is really exciting. So Sonia, you want to lead us through a little taste of energy meditation experience?
Sure.
Do a little taste.
Give me a little taste. And for everyone who's watching, it's just going to be a short little taste. It sometimes takes a little longer. So don't be attached to having a certain outcome. Don't be attached to having a certain experience. Let yourself be completely open. And I invite you to simply join us in doing so and be totally relaxed and easy with it, and just enjoy the process, right? Whether you've done energy already before, whether you know nothing about this, or whether you are actually an expert in energy, you can use this little exercise to really connect to yourself again and to bring whatever your process is to the next level. Sound good?
Perfect.
Very good. So I invite you to, if there's any distractions that you shouldn't have right now, obviously, put them aside and make yourself sit comfortably. And the one thing that I always recommend is when you sit comfortable, but sit in vertical alignment. So you don't want to sit like this where your solar plexus is collapsed, your energy center here. You don't want to collapse your neck. You don't want to collapse your base and hips that you don't see right now, but just take a nice deep breath. I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If you don't, it's okay. You do whatever feels best for you. If you do feel comfortable, close your eyes and start with taking one deep breath. And you inhale through your nose as deep as you can, and then you exhale. And with your exhale, you can even imagine that you release any tension, anything that, just doesn't serve you right now. And then you take another breath again. Deep inhale and deep exhale. And while you keep your eyes closed and you keep breathing and you listen to my voice, imagine that this is a transition where instead of focusing on the outside, you turn your eyes inward. You turn your awareness inward to yourself. And you use the breath to center yourself, to ground yourself, and to connect to yourself. And I invite you for a moment to simply experiment with yourself. When you inhale, you drop in deeper. With your exhale, you relax. And you can also tune into my energy and into what we're creating here, because energy doesn't know time or space. Great. And now, with your next inhale, imagine that you use the energy to move upwards. Your attention and your awareness goes from the bottom of where you sit on your chair or wherever you sit on. You breathe in, you breathe the energy up through the core. You breathe it up to the top of your head. Hold your awareness there for a moment on top of your head. And with your exhale, you bring the energy down again through your body, through the core, through the spine, down to the bottom, to the base again. And do that again in your own timing, in your own pace. Breathe in and up. Bring the energy up through the core, up to the top of your head. Hold it there for a moment. And with your exhale, you bring the energy down to the bottom again. You can even imagine yourself grounding the energy down into the ground. And now simply keep breathing, and your awareness, you bring the energy up and you rest your awareness and your attention for a moment on the forehead area, on the area of your forehead, the area of your third eye, the energy center that we call the third eye in the middle of your forehead. And simply imagine that you give a little bit more space around that area. Expand it. Relax the muscles on your face. And even though your eyes stay closed and your neck stays straight, your internal eyes look slightly upwards, as if you would focus on the upper part of your forehead, on the upper part of your third eye. And you use your breath and you use your awareness to raise the vibration, to move your energy upwards into a nice, long, vertical, aligned. And you might even feel like as if a string on top of your head is slightly pulling you upwards. Simply let yourself be in that experience, and it doesn't matter if your mind wanders around or you get distracted. You simply take a breath and you come back to presence. Purely energetically. And if this is a concept that is comfortable for you, or you're reaching up to a higher source, is something you want to explore, imagine for a moment you rise above your head, above your physical body, your energy and your awareness. Tune upwards. Above your head, and you can imagine there like a golden bowl of light, center of your higher self, or the seat of the soul. And to tap to a higher frequency of being. And simply enjoy the moment without being attached, and be in total acceptance with whatever you're experiencing in this very moment. And then take another nice deep breath, and usually I would go on and reach higher, however out of time, and just to get a taste, imagine you bring that energy down from your higher self down into your physical body, into your third eye. Let it come down into your spine, into your body, into the base, into your legs, into the ground. Feel centered. And just pay attention of any subtleties beyond your mind, beyond any strong emotions. And trust that whatever your experience is just the one that you needed in this moment. And also trust that sometimes the experience we make is beyond our mind and our thinking about it. So simply embrace it, let the energy pour down, let the energy come down into your body and into the ground so that you are fully grounded. And once I start, I don't want to go anywhere, but we want to come back here. We want to come back here. And take a moment, open up your eyes and just take a moment to explore yourself. Feel, hey, how am I feeling right now?
It's always the challenge to come back, like you said. And but thank you. You know, I love to give this gift of just a little bit of the entry into the work so people can let themselves feel it. It's so important and so beautiful and so healing. I always feel like, oh, just relax and all of the worries drain off, and I feel so much more expanded. And then when you said straight, I was like, I really am feeling lifted up. And so we would love for you to share, if you want to, anybody who went through that, how you felt, any questions. If you want any experience you want to share, feel free to share it with us in the Facebook group. And Sonia, you tell them a little bit more about what your free gift is, because they just so they know this is not all.
Happy to, super excited about it. So as I mentioned before, one of the biggest differences that it made for me, or the most powerful tool, is meditation. And a lot of people talk about meditation in the meanwhile, but I mean an energy-based meditation who incorporates all those 4 flows of energy. And I have a guided self-love meditation called My Gift of Love. And it starts with a poem that I channeled that was given to me called My Gift of Love. And it really guides you into all of those pieces, going in first, reaching up, connecting to the beauty of who you are, connecting to a higher sense of self. And it is by far the most powerful and the most favorite meditation for all of my clients. I hear this all the time. And it's very powerful because you shift your energy. And I highly recommend to do it in the morning. I recommend to do it anytime, anywhere. But the best results you get when you set the tone in the morning already, because how you set the tone in the morning will set the tone for the rest of the day. And the other recommendation I have is to do it sitting. You can listen to it laying down. Some of my clients listen to it while they fall asleep. So that's beautiful too. But if you want to have the experience of a real energy shift, you want to sit so that you can incorporate that alignment. It is super, super powerful. It's one of the best meditations I've created, I think. And I am super happy to give it to you for free. It's mygiftoflove.net. And I encourage you to do that for 21 days in a row to get a real shift in your system.
Wow, super, super cool. I'm so happy. And what makes me so happy is that everybody got a little taste, and now you know how valuable this work is. It makes such a difference. So everybody click the link, get the meditation. I'm actually really looking forward. I would love to do this meditation in the mornings. And because I know that this is what is being asked of us. This type of work, it makes a huge difference. So, Sonia, to wrap up, leave us with a few last thoughts, inspiration to take us on our way.
So, I would leave you with, you are the most important person in your life. There's not going to be anyone in your life, not your spouse, not your children, not your parents, not your friends, that will be as long with you as yourself. You are the most important person to take care of. So therefore you want to have a really good relationship with yourself. So if there's a sense of not really honoring you, loving yourself, trusting yourself, do whatever it takes to do that, because it's not only going to be great self, it's going to be the greatest gift and contribution for your family, for your children, for your business, for the world. Amen.
Amen, sister. No, it's so completely true. This is so powerful to have someone have channeled down a gift for us to help with this fundamental thing. Why is everyone talking about feeling unworthy? It's because of exactly what Sonia is dealing with. And I actually really encourage everyone to do this. And I think we're starting to see a big difference in the world as we do this. So so delighted, so honored. Thank you so much for showing up, doing this deep work, sharing something so powerful with everybody. So thank you, Sonia, and everybody. As I always say in farewell, remember, go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Bye, folks.
Bye.